folks, this is my video diary. This is Karl-James Langford. This is the 9th of October, Thursday, 2014. Yes, it's been a long day. On Thursdays I do my day of teaching where I teach 3 archaeology classes, and on Wednesday I did the outreach lecture, and the video logs themselves, I am starting to get a little bit of response from people, and people like watching them. As I've said, I've got a bit of a following on YouTube, so that's brilliant. Daz is saying, again, Daz, he watches these as well, and he says that keep my, I think he's talking about keeping my individuality whilst expressing myself on YouTube, and expressing myself as an actor, expressing myself through SoundCloud, expressing myself through my teaching, expressing myself through every medium that I'm doing, but obviously try to not let the ego go to my head. To be honest with you, I don't let the ego go to my head. My life is a huge contrast where getting that feeling of immense loneliness some days, whilst being then performing and being around people and being appreciated. So yeah, I don't get myself in huge levels of ego, and that leads me on to two contrasts. It looks like I'm being asked to do more and more work in London, and acting wise, and if the point comes that suddenly I'm going to be asked to do 3 times the amount of work in London that I'm doing now, or 4 times probably, then do I start thinking about living in London, moving to London, which would be a huge step, leaving everything behind and leaving everything I know, or just being based a little bit more in London, i.e. where I was staying when I was doing healing work a few days back, and so on and so on. So I've got to start thinking about things like that, but not until I obviously get the work levels up. And when you get the work levels up, and then something bigger comes, i.e. a big film, so there's always the tilt point, and I'm not there yet. And maybe also those that understand the acting world a bit more than me, and then many of you do, because I'm very much new in it. When I sign up to do on Spotlight, there'll probably be more work coming in, because I'm actually getting people contacting me rather than me contacting them. So that's going to be an interesting step. Before I go on to my day of lectures, I also spent at the end of today with coming off the Facebook site that I established for Archaeology Cymru. There were lots of people on the Facebook site that were on it to criticise me in archaeology. There was somebody I thought was a close friend who was constantly criticising me, was constantly supporting somebody who seemed to be very fictitious, supporting, attacking me as well all the time. This isn't my imagination, it was there for people to see. I was getting people phoning me saying, oh, people are having a go at you on the Archaeology Cymru Facebook site, which was absolutely ridiculous. It's Facebook, for God's sake. Why are people having a go at me on Facebook? It was absolutely ridiculous. Maybe because they could. So I spent the whole evening deleting that Facebook site and establishing a new one called Archaeology Cymru Supporters. So on that one, what I've done, I've made lots of people admin. So if anyone's seen to be starting to criticise me personally, then I've told them to basically delete the information straight away and just keep being positive, so that everybody's positive on it, and not to respond to any negativity. Usually attacking me, it's ridiculous. Who the hell do they think I am, God? sorry if that sounds like blasphemy, but it's ridiculous. Well, why do people feel the need to attack people and to be nasty? And I'm not that huge in archaeology, and I never was, but obviously people feel threatened about my views that I don't like metal detecting. They obviously don't like the fact that I was standing up to the corrupt establishment in archaeology. The Grenoble Grant Archaeological Trust, CADU, you all know who you are, David Connolly, BJAR, you all know who you are. So decided to set up a new Facebook site. They're not going to win, and the people that have supported me for years can obviously continue to support me on that on this new Facebook site. Right, moving on. We're gonna pause there. And this thing about being alone, one thing I felt that when I was in London, I felt amongst friends all the time. I felt amongst a big city. It was bigger than me. The actor Yoshio Ida would say that if you're in a desert, you shouldn't stand up and look around and feel lost and feel insignificant. You should lie down and blend in and be part of the situation, the moment, be part of the stage, and then you feel part of it and people look on. That's the point, and that's what I felt like. I felt actually part of it, part of something. And when I got back, I was completely lost, completely infused with being lost. Right, my lectures today. I did 3 lectures today, and I'm going to include some images to follow now. Percy Shelley's poem Death, published 1824, read by Karl-James Langford. They die, the dead return not. Misery sits near an open grave and calls them over. A youth with hoary hair and haggard eye. They are the names of kindred, friend. Good. And I'm looking today at the end of the period of teaching that I've been doing about King Arthur, Alfred the Great, the Vikings, Anglo-Saxons, all that stuff. And it's the end of a period for me that it's not completely the end of everything that I do in archaeology. It's the end of the period of a new medium I was trying. I was coming up with images and using PowerPoint projector and the computer and stuff. It's something that Kishley started me off on when we did the conference earlier on in the year. It's also looking at the end of a period, very destructive period, where things weren't that balanced money-wise and all the rest of it and stuff. And I've come out of that period, and it's good. And it's a time to. It's been a time of reflection in my lecturing, and I've not felt that I've been at my best, simply because I've not been at my best because I'm not sure that I've wanted to be there half the time. But I've had students that have followed me and been there as a rock, and I've appreciated that, particularly my Skype teaching, particularly my class in Bridgend, Dorothy, Bill, Elaine, and George, Mary, Pat, Rob, Malcolm, Lynn, well, I'm sure I missed some of you out, but and my Lantern Major class, particularly particularly Kathy, and those that have followed me there as well. On my Skype classes. Andy, you know who you are, and the rest of you. That's kept me going, and I appreciated that. And I'm sorry that the rest have gone. We've lost a lot of people this year, usually due to that destructive trip to Orkney. Anyway, that said, that sounded negative. The trip trip to my classes today was fairly mundane, other than getting on a train from Lantwick Major to Bridgend, and there was one beautiful person on that train and another beautiful person, and I started speaking to this woman. She was lovely, and we were having a good conversation, very entertaining. I didn't know there was somebody else listening. It was actually a teacher. And at the end of the conversation, as they were getting off, I gave them both a business card. And I probably won't hear from them again. And the one woman who was listening to the conversation said that she thought I was brilliant and a brilliant presenter, i.e. a brilliant actor, brilliant teacher. And sometimes I wonder, and sometimes I wonder if I deserve all this praise, because I know there's people watching these video logs that personally don't like me, that would like to see me completely fall apart and to be a blithering wreck. That's what people do in this country, but there's lots of people who are out there who want to see me succeed, which is great. I appreciate that. And the other woman, yeah, it would have been great to have met up with her one day to have a cup of tea in a cafe, like my friend Helena, who's now another world, Indonesia or somewhere. And I don't make the best of those opportunities because I'm probably too lost in myself half the time. But that's it. Anyway, this has been a negative video log, but I will say that thank you everybody for watching. And those trips on the train, those where I've actually met people and communicated and seen and been able to be me at times, rather than coming back and being completely isolated and alone. So it's been great. And then travelling back home and then coming in through my door and knowing I'm safe and having a cup of tea every day. As I can have a slurp now. Tea. Anyway, thanks very much. I'll speak to you on my video log on Friday. Thank you.